Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sarasota Tim coming to you from beautiful Sarasota, Florida. I'm out here sweaty, crushing it this morning at Nathan Benderson Park, a beautiful place I would invite anyone to come and be outdoors and get some exercise. This morning, I was taking a walk and I started thinking about some very popular videos that I have made. It's made my channel quite large, and that's discussing Social Security. And I've made some videos that apparently were quite provoking and got lots and lots of views. So while I was walking this morning, I was talking about how our minds start thinking of things, and I started thinking about new ideas to share with the public regarding those decisions, because they're life-changing decisions. So I'm an advocate of collecting your Social Security at the very earliest date of age 62. I'll just get that right out of the way. But I begin all of these videos with one disclosure, and that is there's only one reason not to collect your Social Security at the age of 62 years old, and that's if you're making so much money and you love your job, basically you're rich or you have a lot of debt and you want to just keep on doing what you're doing. Then you do you. Otherwise, you are gambling. Who knows about gambling? There's a lot of gamblers in this world. Look at Las Vegas. I was there recently, and there was plenty of people in one gambling town. And gambling is legal around the United States at many, many places, and they have thousands and thousands of people wagering, gambling on making money. The stock market's a gamble. Buying gold's a gamble. Buying and selling cars, going in business, everything is a gamble. But what are the risks? What is the smart move? And is the wind getting into this microphone? I hope not. That's why I'm holding it up against this tree as a wind block. Feels good though after I walk that long walk and I'm all sweaty here in Sarasota, Florida. Well, let's do an analogy, okay? Let me put my shades away because I'm gonna have to switch my hands in a minute because my arm's getting tired. I don't have my selfie stick with me. But let's say, you get an opportunity to go to Las Vegas and you get to the gambling table and they say, look, no risk, nothing. Here's $1,000. We're going to put it on the table for you and you can take it and leave, and nice meeting you, or you can simply start betting it. Some of it, all of it, what do you want to do? And try to double it or make more. And so that's the analogy I want to give you. Let's talk a little bit about gambling. So let's say you did win the lottery or a jackpot of $1,000 and you were in Las Vegas. Would you take the money and put it in your pocket and leave? Or would you continue to put money in the slot machine or on the craps table and try to get more money and possibly lose everything, or 30 or 40% before you quit of what you had? Well, that's the gamble, right? That's what it's about. So if you are offered a check at 62 years old from the federal government and you qualify because you earned money and you filed taxes and you're going to get a Social Security check. But what do they do in Vegas when you win? They offer you a free room. They email you and invite you to come back if you left with their money, or they just keep letting you get little wins and draw you down. And what do they always say? The favor isn't, the house has favors. Yeah, the house is favored. You can't beat the house. The house is always going to win. Sure, there's a few stories and exceptions where people walked away, but really in their lifetime, if they're gamblers, are they really ahead from all their lives of gambling? But let's say this, you get contacted by email to come back and get a free room in hopes that, what are they giving you? Nothing but a bed, right? And you're not even going to be in there. You're going to be down there in the casino, they hope, taking that money that you took from them and then your own money more and giving it to them. So that's their objective, right? Their objective is to take your money. We agree on that, right? Your objective is to try to own that place. But what are your odds? Not very good. So let's talk about Social Security. They tempt you by saying, hey, we'll give you 30% more if you'll let it ride. When you're at the casino and you're on the craps table, they can say, do you want your winnings if you won? Do you want to leave half of it out there? Do you want to let it ride? And some people say, let it ride. and then the next roll craps, they're out. They lost it all, one shot. Or if they put 30% of it out there, or half of it out there, and roll craps, they lost. So you could have had a bird in the hand, but instead you got zilch, okay? It's the same way with Social Security. When you reach 62 years old, you can get the bird in the hand. You can get it. And they say you get less, but you don't. It's all a mind deal. It's all a big game they play because they want you to let it ride. Because in order for you to get this additional 30% or these few $100s more money by waiting 5 years is simply hoping that you do two things. One, that you keep paying and working into the tax revenue, because that's how the government makes their money. They collect our taxes, and they want you to continue to pay into the Social Security Administration, of which they spend that apparently too, because there's a lot of theory that it's running out of money. I mean, they have no boundaries. They have no conscience or what's the word? They don't have any level of what they'll spend. It doesn't matter. It's a bottomless pit to them. So they say, don't collect it now. Hang out for another 5 years and we'll give you this money. Meanwhile, you're paying into them. You're stressing your life. You're getting older. You're giving them your best years, weeks and months of your life, okay, for a few $100. And then they're betting that once you start collecting it and you stop working, you're so old by then and you've been stressed out from your job and everything else. And the statistics show that a lot of people are dying at 73 years old, men. So that means they only have to give it to you for a little while if you even reach that age. So 62, you know, if you can get something and you collect it only a year and you pass away, at least you got that bird in the hand. Whereas if you just say, let it ride, and you continue to work and deal with all the things that are involved with not being free to live a retired life, then you're basically gambling. That's really the long and short of it. And if you do take it at 62, you are so much further ahead, because if you're fortunate to live until 73 and beyond, you have collected a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars, and you've had a lot of free time to work a part-time job, no job, or self-employment of your choosing, and being able to do a lot more in your life than you've done for the previous several decades. I mean, the first 2 or 3, you were just growing up. Then the next ones were going into a lot of debt, raising a family. And then when you finally get to be more than half your age at 50, because you're not going to live to be 100, most likely, you give another decade or two, potentially, to working. And then really, what do you have? What do people have at my age from 65 to 80? They have a sliding scale is what they've got. Unless you are so blessed and you have good genes, or you just really make a conscious effort to do your best with your health and exercise, you are on the downside. You have less runway in front of you than you got behind you. Your life is spent. You do not get an extended warranty. There are no extended contracts. There are people that live to be 100, maybe 200. But what do they look like? What kind of life do they have? So if you can collect a free check, your money that you paid in from the earliest possible age, and you got the bird in the hand, and you don't say, let it ride. And people argue, well, I'm still working, making money. Yeah, you're still at a prison job. You are still in debt. You are still giving all of your best years, your best hours of the day, of the week, to a employer. Remember the first rule, the only exception, what I said in the beginning of the video. That's the only one. Otherwise, the masses that, you know, I was self-employed most of my life, and then in my earlier life, I had different trades, and then I spent another almost 2 decades in the automobile business, of which there's no pensions, retirements, or anything like that in. In fact, I had multiple jobs with different dealers. I sold new, used, Fords, Chevys, Toyotas. I mean, it's a very hop-around business, kind of like painters or construction workers and things like that. Lots of occupations. They're here today, the contract ends, they're gone, they're with somebody else. hairstylist, different occupations that you can do anywhere. Don't, other jobs people get, post office, some government job, at a mill, lots of places. And they dedicate their 20, 30, 40 years to them, working for the city or something like that. And they walk away, even before 62, with a very nice little pension. And for those that are that dedicated to stay in the same city and town and house, and, well, you don't have to stay in the same house, but in that same general area because you can't leave. I mean, some jobs you can transfer to another location, but in general, people are basically prisoned to their zip code and their job. And most of them don't have any regrets at the end because they get this little check, then they got their other little check called Social Security, and they don't have to do maybe a side hustle or a part-time job. Some still do. But the thing is, it's a gamble, and nobody's promised tomorrow. And today, we're hearing about people from the age of 50 getting heart disease, getting cancers, getting life-changing health. Even if it doesn't kill you, you could have a debilitating life, dialysis, diabetes, and things like that will prevent you from enjoying a life that you can live at 62, and you have an option to get that bird in the hand and take that money. And then the 5 years later that someone waited that claims to have more money coming to them, that 30% increase, they either died or they're so much older or they aged terribly or they've got some illness. They didn't die, but they're so unhealthy that, they get a few $100s more to pay more copays and go to a doctor all the time. I am an advocate of living your life every day. And even if you have to live it with less dollars than someone that has a few more, life can be lived. It's not how much you make, it's how much you got going out. Now, I'm a minimalist. I personally don't promote everyone do what I do, but it's a great life for me as a single man. A lot of people out there are married and, it's different, but I see a lot of people, I'm talking about RVing, that have big, giant fifth wheels that are married and have their dog and they're completely happy. And they have RVs that cost as much as a house. I mean, there's some expensive ones and they're beautiful. But I live in something smaller, and the rent in an RV place is cheaper than rent currently in 2024. And will it be my forever home? Not necessarily. As long as I can be happy and recharge my battery in a safe place and continue to go out and do what I like to do in life. I'm adventurous. I'm outgoing. I'm outside kind of person. I don't care about having a beautiful home to sit in all day. I mean, it's great and it's a great investment, but I'm not looking to flip it either. I'm looking to live life. I'm looking to use my money to go and do, and I want to spend it wisely. Now, when I retired at 62, just to give you my own personal experience, okay, just to show you that it is possible, I was forced into retirement from what they called a pandemic, and my business was selling belly to belly, and you know what happened, right? No more getting next to each other, so it was shut down. And from there were some assistance programs that went on that got me through until I reached the age of 62, which was right around the corner, within a year, I think. Thank God. And so I went on YouTube and I said, what's the best age? And should I collect age, Social Security at 62, yada, yada. I heard all those stories, and I was of the mindset at one time when I was younger. Oh, that's a reduced amount. You can get more money if you wait. And then when I needed the money, and I don't have a pension and other things, and then when I did the math that I've done on many of my other videos showing how much you collect for 5 years, 60 months, before you get the bigger check of this 30% more, 5 years later, if you're still alive and you're still as healthy and as vibrant, you still have to live another 18 years till you're almost 80 years old to ever surpass the money that you would have brought in, that I would have brought in by collecting at 62. And more people than not are collecting at 62. I did a video not too long ago explaining how there's about 67 million Americans, 1 in every 5, are seniors. And our senior citizens are higher than they've ever been in the history of our country. In fact, they went up 10 times the amount since 1920. And that's due to additional healthy ways of living and technology and things like that. So people are living longer. And also the baby boomers or whatever. In 2011, there was a real exponential growth. But 1 in 5 people are eligible for Social Security. 67 million are collecting. 37% of those are collecting at 62. 34% are waiting until 65 or 67. And I explained the other day, the only reason that number is even close to being, and not 50% or more collecting at 62, is a lot of people are not aware they can collect it at 62. Believe it or not, they don't know that. They think 65, they hear Medicare, they hear all these myths about you get less money and that would be a real big penalty. So they just completely put it out of their mind and they don't want to hear reason. And so they don't collect it. Other people have studied it and are aware they can collect it at 62, but they have health issues and they're fearful that if they quit their prison job, that's what I call them. I have a prison job right now. I'm a YouTuber. I do it every day. It's my prison job. But if you have a prison job and you have health insurance, then a lot of people feel like that's very important to them. If you're a sickly person and you have some of the diseases that we talked about earlier, where you need dialysis, you're diabetic, certain medications are expensive, you visit the doctors a lot, you've had operations, you have heart issues, pacemakers, you get all these different things of which we have a very sick society. A lot of people do. Then of course they think, oh, if I'm 62 and I quit my job and get my Social Security, I won't have health insurance. Well, that's true. You won't. You won't unless, you go on Obamacare, which is very difficult to stay on it because if you start getting a side hustle and making any money, then the subsidy becomes almost zero and the insurance is just like taking out private insurance. It's very expensive. The only cheap way to get insurance is through a group. And guess what? I know people that work for an employer that have a family, not a single person, but a family, are paying $800 a month out of their paycheck for their health insurance. And they are in a PPO or HMO, but that means they still have to go within a network of where they live. And this is why when I promote Medicare, I promote an Advantage plan because it's free of charge. And they have both HMO and PPO. So if you're not going to be traveling or going back and forth from up north and everything, and you kind of stay in your area, an HMO with a huge network of over 2,000 participants could be just absolutely fine for you. And then they have PPO plans of which there's about 55,000 participants that allows you to travel and go back up north or wherever you're at, you can see a doctor. But either way, let's getting back to the 62. With no health insurance is the only reason a vast majority of the people will defer. But if you are like me, I was in the car business. I was in my own business in advertising for 33 years and 17 years in the car business. So that's 54 years roughly. Half century in my life, I never had a dollar's worth of health insurance. I never had to see a doctor that I couldn't do some kind of a program with some sort of a welfare, Medicaid, assistance plan that worked temporarily for me. I have done those. Get rid of these notifications here. When I was younger, I qualified for, and those programs are available today. Health insurance can also be paid on a monthly basis to hospitals in the event. I mean, there are no debtor's prison, folks. It's a medical bill. They charge you $500 for an aspirin. It's crazy. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying, if you're relatively healthy like I was, and you see a $20 bill on the ground, you pick it up. You don't think, oh, I'll let it lay there and let it ride, and maybe it'll be a 50 or 100 tomorrow. That's gambling. That's risky. You live today because you're only promised today. this moment, it just passed. That's gone, never to return. The next moment may not come. You know, heart attacks, people drop like rag dolls. This evening could be the time. Maybe when you get in your car, a big bus is going to hit you. You don't know. But there is a time that you're going to be taken from this world. And to just be so boastful that you're going to live to be 80, 90 years old, and you're going to be this vibrant, healthy, you know, person who's going to run around the block, and you're going to enjoy your extra $500, $600 from your additional Social Security. Got a banger back here. You're a gambler. You're a gambler. Remember, the only one reason, folks, to not collect Social Security at 62 is because you are so rich, you are so making so much money, and you love your job. You just want to keep on doing it until you die, I guess, or until you get that extra $600 or $700. Then you do you. But don't profess to tell the masses, and there would be a lot more people that would do it if they weren't fearful of not having health insurance. A great majority more would be collecting at 62. And it's simple math. It's simple math. If you collect $1,000 a month for 60 months, you got $60,000 in your pocket, right? If you collect $1,700 a month, 5 years later, you got $1,700 in your pocket. The other guy's got $60,000. How many more months have to pass do you have to live to surpass the $60,000 that person A collected already and was out doing what they wanted to do, including working for themselves or working for the same company for less hours or not working at all? Maybe you got that pension. So seriously think about how Social Security is a gamble, and don't believe the gimmick and the language that is promulgated on the internet about you get 30% reduction, you get less. They just want you to wait so they don't have to give it to you. They want you to continue to pay into the system. They don't care about your life if you live and you're happy and you want to travel around an RV or go golfing every day or visit your grandchildren. They could care less. They want one thing out of you: to go to work, pay taxes. That's all they want. They don't want to help you, give you money. Come on, you believe that? Then you believe in wrestling. So again, collect your Social Security at 62. You have to be debt free. You cannot collect Social Security and work part-time on a side hustle, and you do have to work. That's the other caveat to this. This is not you're retired completely. You are out of your prison job. You are out of this 40 to 60 hour a week grind, spending all that money, what it takes to go to work for your vehicle, your clothing, your meals, and the stress and the health of your life that you're sacrificing. And you're not making that much more money because you're paying higher taxes with the additional income. When you reduce your income, your taxes are lower. When you reduce your time going to work, you reduce your stress level. When you reduce, you reduce. Less is more. Become a minimalist. Get rid of all those streaming services, car payments, mortgages. Get rid of the big house you don't need. The kids are gone. Buy yourself something small, rent, whatever. You make your own decision. You figure that part out. But get your overhead, or your nut, as I call it. That's what we used to say in the car business. What's your nut every month? Oh, my nut is $5,000 a month. Well, you better get to hustling then. And today, everybody's nut, even if you have the basics between food and gas and all that, if they don't come down, we got a big nut to crack. So who can afford and who can sustain? You'll never retire if the prices keep going like they are for food and gas and clothing and everything else that it costs to live in 2024. Something's going to have to break, and something will, because that's been our economy over the eons. It goes up and down, and what goes up will come down, and soon enough it is going to come down and crash.